What are the 7 reasons why you will never get closure from a narcissist? Hello, I'm Matthew Hussey. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Today, I want to talk about the subject of narcissism and why dealing with a narcissist can be so unbelievably unrewarding. Why, when we deal with people like this, there is a complete and utter lack of closure, and how in feeling that lack of closure, in feeling that there is no sense of completion in any of the things that we deal with them, it can be maddening. The reason I wanted to make this video is because I want us to get out of the cycle of going back to these people and hoping for a different result, hoping that we're this time going to go back and finally get the closure that we've always wanted from them. I hope that I can make this video in some ways so dismal, so bleak in its outlook when it comes to the outcomes of these situations, that you will simply resolve to get out of them instead of trying to fix them. There's a moment in Oliver Burkeman's book, I wish I could figure out who said it, but he was talking about someone who said, my job is not to get people to lighten the load. It's to make the load so heavy that they simply put it down. And that's what I'd like to do with this video. Why can you never expect to get closure from a narcissist? Number 1, they will never take accountability. This is one of the most maddening things about dealing with a person like this, is that the idea of getting a genuine, I'm sorry, I did that, that was my fault, is a fantasy. Unsatisfying apology. It's the kind of apology where you have been begging and pleading with them to see your point of view, where you have been spelling it out, where you simply won't let them off the hook. And through saying all of this, you maybe get them to the point of such exhaustion, of finally throwing their hands up and saying something like, all right, I'm sorry. Okay, is that what you want to hear? Like, what do you want me to do? That's the kind of apology you get. And you tell me whether that feels like a satisfying apology that gives you closure. The second reason you'll never get closure is because they will never truly empathize with your situation. Because it's not about you. It's always about them. So when you're talking about how something has affected you, it's not just that you won't get an apology, or if you do, you'll get an unsatisfactory apology. It's that you won't even feel like they're remotely connecting with your experience. When you talk to them about what you've been through, they'll deflect, they might put it back on you. They might say that you're being overly sensitive. They might say that you're being dramatic and blowing things out of proportion. They might start talking about their own pain. And, well, you don't know what this has done to me. Because it's not about you. It's about them. One of the greatest gifts in human connection is empathy. Empathy is a miracle. It's like that moment in Inside Out, where, Joy goes over to Bing Bong, the imaginary friend, the elephant, and doesn't really show any empathy. She just tries to get him back on his feet and say, it's going to be okay, it's going to be fine. And Bing Bong doesn't feel good hearing that because there's no empathy. But then sadness comes over. And sadness says, that really sucks. That must really hurt. And all of a sudden, Bing Bong starts to feel better because sadness actually sees him. The narcissist will never see you. They will never be able to grant you the miracle of human connection that is empathy. And empathy is the root out of loneliness. The thing that makes empathy a miracle is that it transmutes pain into connection. It turns it into community. It makes us feel like we're no longer alone, which exactly explains why being with the narcissist in any kind of an intimate relationship leaves you feeling so alone. You will never get closure because they will never give you empathy. Now, the third reason that you'll never get closure particularly applies to the more malignant types, the more antagonistic narcissists. But that is that by standing up to them, we're just giving them more of what they want. We might have this fantasy of one day standing up to someone and finally telling them how we feel, and that's going to be so rewarding. And that maybe we'll stop them in their tracks when we finally stand up to them. But the truth is, in many cases, by standing up to them, we're just giving them the thing that they want, which is our engagement. They want you to engage. They're hoping that you will engage. That's why people like this will often say anything they can to bait you. They will try to push your buttons. What's the one thing they know they can say to get under your skin? You giving them that energy isn't received as a standard. It's received as energy. And I want you to connect to that point that what you may be speaking as a standard, what they're experiencing is energy. And they're going to do whatever they can to get more of your energy, because as long as they've got your energy, they've still got you. As long as they can get a reaction out of you, it's like they're still controlling you, right? This is about control. If I know I can say something and that's going to get under your skin and that's going to make you shout, I own you. I've got you. So we have to be very careful about what we think of as standing up to them, because standing up to them doesn't work. It only gives them more of what they want. If you follow my dear friend Dr. Ramani's work, you will hear her say over and over again, do not engage. Very powerful phrase. Do not engage, because when we engage, we give them the power they are looking for, because that's what they're looking for, control and power. If I can get a reaction out of you, I've got power over you. If I can say something mean and get a rise out of you, I own you. I control you. We cannot give them that power. What do they say about colds and fevers? Feed a cold, starve a fever. Feed a friend, starve a narcissist. The fourth reason you'll never get closure is because you will never teach them a lesson. I have to stand up to this person. Someone's got to teach them a lesson. There is no teaching a person like this a lesson. They're not operating in a world where they're trying to learn a lesson. Like, we're applying our set of laws about how we live to someone who does not operate by those laws. We might think to ourselves, I like going through life learning lessons, or maybe I don't like it, but when I learn a lesson, well, there it is, a lesson. I did something wrong, someone called me out on it. I think, wow, I really learned my lesson there. I gossiped about someone, it got back to them, and it hurt their feelings, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do that again. Oh, a lesson. I don't want to do that again. We learn lessons because we're the kinds of people who learn lessons. But with a narcissist, you're dealing with someone who's not trying to learn lessons. One of the signature features of many narcissists is incompetence. Why? Because it's really hard to become competent when you can't learn, when you think you're right all the time. This is a person who's not trying to learn like you or I are trying to learn. They are trying to do what's best for them at all times. They are trying to do what's going to give them supply at all times, whether it's in the form of attention, money, adoration, success. This is what is driving them. What is not driving them is learning lessons. The fifth reason you'll never get closure is because it will often appear when you finally leave someone or they leave you, that they are then giving to the next person what they never gave to you. Many people have had that experience of going on Instagram, looking on Facebook, or hearing through the grapevine that they are now in this blissfully happy relationship with somebody else. Now, first, let's not forget that social media is never a good place to judge the inside of someone's relationship any more than it was a good place for other people to judge the inside of our relationship with this person. But let's grant them that they actually are doing all of these lovely things right now for this new person. That doesn't mean it's sustainable. When a narcissist is in pursuit of something, they are a very different individual than they are when they have something. So let's be clear. They may be showing a different side of themselves right now, but that does not mean that they won't revert to type at some point and begin the cycle all over again. Remember, the greatest predictor of the future is the past, and that is especially true of these individuals. The sixth reason why you will never get closure from someone like this is because you will never win. If you do stand up for yourself, if you do take away their power in some way, if you suddenly feel in charge, instead of feeling like you won, they will simply shapeshift. Narcissists are often master shapeshifters. When they're in power, they're a tyrant. They're a dictator. When they're not in power, they're a victim. And they know how to switch like that. So they're just playing a different strategy now. And what they know, because remember, these people want your energy. They know that they can simply convert energy. So they can take your anger at them being in control or being a menace in your life, and they can turn it into guilt by suddenly playing the victim when they're not a powerful person anymore or where they're no longer in control. And weaponizing your guilt and your pity is narcissism 101. You have no business being a narcissist if you're not weaponizing people's guilt. You shouldn't be in the narcissism business. What happens is someone knows that I can play on your ability to very easily feel like you're a bad person. And why do you feel like a bad person? Because you have a really high standard for being a good person. So if you've in any way said something that could be hurtful to them, if you've in any way been cold or callous or merciless with them in the way that you've parted ways or in the way that you've put your foot down, they will find an in to turn that into you being a bad person, you being someone who should feel guilt, you being someone who should now feel sorry for them. And even if you don't feel all of those things, even if you feel absolutely righteous in what you're doing, when they become a victim, at the very least, they can become a kind of pitiful and sad figure. And that's what happens to a lot of people who have aging parents who are narcissists, is that over time, once those people almost become a bit defanged, when they're no longer capable of quite the damage they used to do, they can end up representing quite sad and sorry figures. And that is why these relationships are so unsatisfying, even when we feel like we finally got to a point in our life where we took our power back. The seventh reason you will never get closure with a person like this is because they will never make sense to you. This is always going to be one of those maddening situations where the more you try to understand it, the more you're applying the wrong kind of thinking to the problem in the first place. This person is a different animal to you. This person does not operate the way that you do. It's like trying to use a ruler to measure sound. It doesn't work. We will never fully understand these people. They will never fully make sense to us because they do not operate the way that we do. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can give ourselves the freedom to not have to understand it, to simply accept that they operate in the way that they do. And that is not the kind of person that we can engage with in our life. And by the way, when we disengage from people like this, when we walk away from people like this, and I know you can't always walk away, there are situations where we have to continue to engage on some level, but when we do, we will still feel a sense of injustice that after all the pain someone has caused us, after all the damage they've done, after the utter lack of acknowledgement of all of those things, we're the one that has to be the bigger person. We're the one that has to radically accept the situation. We're the one who has to grow. We're the one who has to be higher frequency and not fight with them, but simply disengage or walk away or make peace with it. That can feel like the ultimate kick in the teeth. Is that my reward for all of your bad behavior is that I have to grow? I have to be the bigger person and that you get to never grow? That can feel so unjust and unsatisfying. But the real closure is not any of the things that we might hope for if they weren't all of these ways that I've just suggested. The real closure is the peace we have found or will find by disengaging with this person. The peace we find in the space between us and them. The peace we find in finally no longer having expectations that this person will never fulfill. And if we're lucky enough, the peace that we will find in walking away from someone like this so that we never have to deal with them again. Remember, peace is closure. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to continue the conversation with me, if you want to ask me a question about what you've learned today, there is a place that you can do that right now. Go on over to askmh.com and try Matthew AI. You'll literally be able to text or call me. You'll hear my voice answering your question and you can try it out completely free. And if you enjoy it, take advantage of our Black Friday offering where it is 50% off your first month of unlimited Matthew AI. So make sure you take advantage of that while it's available. You can literally have me coaching you anytime you want, as much as you want. The link again is askmh.com. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon.
Sometimes you go on a date with someone and you realize that they are batshit. Here's what I want to talk about today. The difference between quirky and crazy. Because one of them is quite attractive, endearing. The other one is something that, generally speaking, you should run a mile from. By the way, I'm not just talking about the people you go on a date with. I'm also talking about ourselves. So what's quirky? Quirky is when you have this cute little way about you or a cute habit, a cute little idiosyncrasy that becomes its own form of endearment. It's something that makes you you. It gives you character. It's that thing that makes that guy go away and say, oh, she does this really cute thing, or she's so weird, but I love it. That's what quirky is. Crazy is when you go home and you say, what the was that? So how do you distinguish between quirky and crazy? Where's the line? It gets a little hazy. There are 7 examples that I'm going to give you that highlight the difference between quirky and crazy. Quirky. You're planning to see a movie with someone and they say, okay, but don't be late because I cannot miss the trailers. They're the best part of the whole thing. Crazy. When 5 minutes before the trailers start, you say, let's go get some popcorn. He grits his teeth and you can visibly see that you've ruined his night. 2. Quirky. You see a spider in the bathroom, you run out, give him a hug and say, you have to get that spider out for me. Oh my God, I can't do that. Crazy. For the rest of the evening, you're having these weird spasms about the fact that there was a bug in his apartment and you won't sleep in his bed. Number 3, quirky. You like it when your dog jumps on the bed and wants to cuddle at night when you're about to go to sleep. Crazy. When he sometimes doesn't want the dog to stay in the bed, you go into a fit of rage and you say, do not make me choose between you and the dog. That dog has been with me for the last 8 years. You will lose, my friend. Number 4, quirky. You kind of like snuggling up and watching a Disney film just because it reminds you of your childhood and you really like Disney. Crazy. On a first date, you're sitting next to him watching Aladdin, singing line by line, A Whole New World. A whole new world. Number 5, quirky. Everything in his place is nice and tidy and he's a little like, he likes things a certain way and it's kind of cute. Crazy. In the middle of having sex, he's rearranging the pillows. Oh, that's it. Right. There. Number 6, quirky. When his favourite team scores a goal, he gets this little boy look on his face and gets all excited and runs over to you. Crazy. When his favourite team loses, he smashes the place up and calls your sister a whore. Number 7, quirky. He's up for bringing a little spanking into the bedroom. Crazy. He wants to watch you have sex with his best friend Gerald. See, to me, the real difference between quirky and crazy is that quirky describes those idiosyncrasies that we have that we can pass off as fun or playful, and very often we're self-aware. I think that's a sign of good mental health, is when we're self-aware, we know those little silly things that make us us, and we don't always have to demand them. You know, we need to see the trailers at the movies, but if we don't one time, it's not going to be the end of the world. Those things are quirky. They're the things that define us. Crazy, those are the things that become these compulsive habits and tendencies and desires that we cannot control, and when they happen, we don't seem in control of them or even self-aware of them. Now, for me, I think about what's something that makes me quirky. It's how I like my tea. You know, if someone brings me a cup of tea and it's slightly too milky, I will happily send that cup of tea back and say, I'm sorry, I just can't do this. Crazy would be that, you know, they bring me my tea and it's a little off and you know what, honestly, just get it right. It's not that hard. The thing, most of these things there is a difference, but with tea, it's not that difficult. Just make the tea the right way. How much milk did you... Oh, for sake! Crazy. He wants to watch you have sex with his best friend Gerald. Crazy. When they lose, he smashes the place up and calls your sister a whore.
You get so much pleasure from it.
Because you imagine these people, you imagine the people that are like this, they're just the worst. The worst people. Christmas is upon us. Dramatic. Should we say holidays? People get offended by everything these days, don't they? The holidays are upon us. Holidays is offensive to Satanists or nihilists. Is anything offensive to nihilists? Do you know what I mean? By definition, can anything be offensive to nihilists? But here's why this is a holiday video. Because so many of you, I know, are wanting some sort of romance in the holidays. The holidays are a time when we're bombarded with commercials showing us these relationships dripping with romance and this love and connection. Naturally, we look to our own lives, and if we haven't got someone like that, we get sad and lonely. And we don't want to be depressed through the holidays. We want it to be a magical time with someone that we care about. If we don't have that, I want to show you how to get it. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you an actual guide that shows you 7 steps to finding someone great by New Year's Eve. Okay? I'll tell you where to get that in a second. Before I do, a couple of quick tips about the holidays. You may find yourself wanting to snuggle up under the covers, watch movies in your pajamas, and not go out during this period. But I want to urge you to do the opposite of that. Doesn't mean you can't have your cozy time. Do that. But go out. This is one of the most sociable times of the year. People go out, they're Christmas parties, they're office parties, they're going for after work drinks, they're out with friends, with family. This is a great time to be socializing. Harvest season for the socialites. I want you to go out there and I want you to meet people. Anytime anyone asks you to come and do something, say yes. If someone asks you to their office Christmas party, say yes. If someone just asks you to their Christmas party or a friend asks you to their drinks at their house, just say yes. Say yes to everything. And by the way, if no one invites you to anything, arrange something yourself. Arrange a drink session, a happy hour with a few of your friends, and tell them to bring guests. Tell them to bring people you don't know. Get people together. Be in places. And when you're there, spend your time as much as possible talking to people you don't know. The beauty of going to someone else's holiday party is that you get to talk to people that they know that you don't. Which is, by the way, one of the other great tips for the holiday season is to get in touch with friends that you haven't spoken to in a while and find out what they're up to. Invite them to your happy hour, invite them to your drinks, because they might turn around and then say, oh, you should, by the way, we're having a Christmas party next weekend. You should come. When they say that, you now go and see that old friend, but you're going to see their whole network, which is probably different to the network they had when you knew them before. So now again, you're meeting this whole new group of people. When you're doing this, you're in this kind of buzz of everyone getting together and wanting to have a good time, and you're just there meeting all of these new people. That's what December should be about. There are also cool opportunities for dates in December. Christmas shopping is an amazing date. Going shopping and telling someone like, come join me. You need to get something for your sister. I need to get something for my brother. We can help each other. That's a cool date idea. And then you can walk around. You can go and get like one of those bullshit Christmas lattes. Do this on a day where you can get away with actually not doing much shopping at all, by the way. If you do go on like a Christmas shopping date, do it when you're not under pressure, because you probably won't do much shopping. You'll just go, you'll have a flirt, you'll go ice skating, you'll throw snowballs, build a little snowman. The point is, this is not a month to be depressed. This is actually could be an amazingly fun month to be single and to go out there looking for somebody. Don't be one of those people who are like, oh, I'm depressed and Christmas and Bridget Jones. This month should be a month of opportunity, and I want it to be just that for you. So to make life easier, because we've thrown some things out there in this video, but I want to give you some structure. The guide that I'm about to give you is a 7-step guide to finding someone special over the holidays. Now, I'm not promising you the love of your life. May happen, but what I am promising you is that if you follow these steps, your chances of having this romantic love affair with someone over the holidays will skyrocket. And maybe it will turn into something more for the new year. But don't you want like some fun holiday romance? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool to be kissing someone on New Year's Eve? I think it's a lovely thing, and it'll be fun. And then you get to come to me and say, I found someone because of your guide. And I get to go, that's so great. I'm really good at what I do. And you'll go, yeah, you are. And I'll go, thanks. So here's what you need to do to get the guide. Go to kisshimatmidnight.com. It's a specific guide for you. I've created it as a complimentary guide for the holiday period. I want you to go and enjoy it and put it into action. So kisshimatmidnight.com. We'll put it on the video. We'll link it up underneath. And go and have an amazing time. This is a fun time. Enjoy it. Let me know what you think of the guide. I'll see you soon. 7 signs that a guy likes you. Number 1, people often say that if a guy's trying to impress you, that means he likes you. But that doesn't necessarily mean he likes you. It might mean he likes himself. See, narcissists give great first dates because they want you to fall in love with them and reflect their glory back at them. But the person who actually likes you shows that they are impressed by you. They are someone you have made an impression on. Number 2, he's not afraid to be earnest about his affection for you, even if it gets him teased. We're often worried that our friends or our family are going to taunt us for being too affectionate with the person we like. When he stops caring about that, you know he's really started caring about you. Number 3, when he has to get dressed up for an occasion, when he's looking his best, he'll find an excuse on that day to send you a picture. He may not take a selfie and send it to you, but he'll take a picture of him with his brother or his mum and be like, hey, look, we're having a great day. What he's really saying is, look at me. This is the best dressed I've been all month, and I want you to see it. Number 4, he calls you around 6 o'clock after work to tell you about his day because you're the one he wants to share his news with. I'm not talking about the phone call he makes to you at midnight where he says, hey, I have some news. I have a boner. Where are you right now? I'm talking about the guy who actually wants to talk about his day. Number 5, he's prepared to wait for intimacy. Doesn't mean he doesn't want it. Doesn't even mean he won't maybe try to have it early on. But when you delay him and you say, that's not my speed, he still wants to see you again and he's more than prepared to wait. Number 6, he finds time to see you even when it's not convenient. Now, I'm not saying he finds a day to see you or even 3 hours to see you, but when someone likes you, they will cobble together whatever time they have from the scraps just to be able to get 15 minutes to say hi to you. I'm not talking about the hookup right now. I'm talking about his desire just to see your face. When someone likes you, they make it happen. Number 7, and let this one sink in, he wants to go to the movies with you after sex. Most guys will take women on dates, go to movies, go to dinners before they have sex. And then they wake up and they're like, okay, now leave, please. I want to go and be with my friends. When you wake up with the guy and he's like, hey, you with the crazy hair, let's go see a movie. He likes you. So there it is. I have a free guide for you called the 5 Compliments, which gives you 5 exact compliments you can give to a guy that not only get him more attracted to you, but also give him a clue that you're attracted to him. Go download them now at saythistohim.com. I'll see you there. Wouldn't it be nice if life was always this straightforward? Now, we all know that flirting rarely happens in such an obvious way. What's more likely is that a guy is going to be flirting with you and you don't even know it. Here are the 7 subtle ways that guys flirt with you that you may never pick up on. Number 1, he's looking over at you. Now, you may say, that's not so subtle. But the reality is, most women, when they see a guy looking over, think it was just by chance. They don't think, oh my God, he thinks I'm attractive. They think, well, he was probably just looking around the room. He's not really attracted to me. And they give it all of the wrong meanings. Think of it this way. If you caught a guy looking at you once, chances are he probably looked at you 3 or 4 times before that and you didn't see it. So quick tip, if you catch a guy looking over at you twice, feel free to flash him a little smile. Number 2, he was far away and now he's close. So this is a guy that maybe you first noticed when he was across the room. Now all of a sudden, he's a few steps closer. And then before you know it, even though there's 5 empty seats at the bar, he seems to be right next to you. Now, it may not be as extreme as that, but the point is, when somebody likes you, you can see them on the other side of the room, and all of a sudden, 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, they are closer to you. Chances are that wasn't an accident. Number 3, he finds excuses to walk past you. Now, it might be that he's sat at a table with his friends, and he can't just get closer to you. So what does he do? He decides to go to the restroom 3 times in the space of 20 minutes. He finds an excuse to be in your general area walking past you. This doesn't mean he's actually going to do anything when he walks past you. It just means he's hoping that by walking past you, there's a greater chance that an interaction is going to happen. Which leads me to number 4, the no-tooth smile. This is when a guy doesn't actually smile and show teeth like this. He walks past you and instead, not wanting to give too much away, but still hoping something's going to happen, he looks at you and does this. For the man who's not quite ready to say hello, how are you in a stationary and audible fashion, he'll go for number 5, the drive-by hi. He'll walk by you and do something like this. Hey, sort of mouths a little. Now, before you judge this too harshly, for this man, it's actually more than he's giving to anyone else in the room. He might have just walked past 20 people and barely given them eye contact, and to you, he feels like he's doing more. Number 6, he's in your eye line. He knows you can see him. And in this moment, he's doing I'm doing something cool and important, but I'm really looking at you, but I'm not really because I'm doing something cool and important moment. He looks like he's sending I'm a big boy, important businessman email, but what he's really doing is trying to look cool and distracted at the same time as getting you to notice him. By the way, if he's overreacting to what he's seeing, it's a bit too funny, he's smiling a bit too much, he's speaking a bit too loudly to his friend on the phone, then you definitely know he's trying to flirt with you. Number 7, he says literally anything to you. For example, he walks up to you and says, "Hey, is the restroom this way?" "Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Thank you." He could have asked anyone that question. By the way, it doesn't have to be sexual, it doesn't have to be flirtatious, it could be the most innocuous, boring question in the world, but he chose to ask you. Now, to that last one, or to any of the 7, you may be saying, just because he did that, it doesn't necessarily mean he likes me, and wouldn't it be kind of arrogant and narcissistic for me to assume that every time a guy does one of these things, he's secretly interested in me? See, I would argue that if you went through life always assuming that one of these 7 things, when a guy does it, is a sign that he's attracted, you have everything to gain from that and nothing to lose. Because you're not gonna, as a result of one of these things, walk up to a guy and say, "I like you too, by the way." No, what you're gonna do is you're gonna give him a little bit back in response if you like him. So if a guy looks at you, you might give him a little smile. If a guy walks past you and says, "Hey, how are you?" you might actually respond to that and say, "I'm fine, thanks, how are you?" If a guy asks you something like, "Where's the restroom?" you might take that moment to say, "It's over there. I like your shoes, by the way." In other words, you can give 1% more than you would normally give back. That's what creates momentum in the right direction if it was already there. And sometimes, even when it wasn't, let's just say for a moment he wasn't flirting with you, but in that moment when you're a little warmer to him, he suddenly decides to look at you a little differently. So it can even pay dividends when he wasn't flirting with you and you were wrong about it. You're not going to take giant risks because of these 7 signs. You're just going to do a little more than you normally would. You're going to have your own subtle signal to throw back at him. So you have 2 realities to choose from. One, where you assume that no one is ever attracted to you no matter what little sign you get, and you shut opportunity down before it ever begins. Or the other road, where you assume that when a guy does one of these 7 things, there's actually a chance he might be attracted, and as a result, you give a little more back to him, thus creating opportunities everywhere you go. Enjoy the subtle art of flirting, and I will see you in next Sunday's video.
Have you ever sent someone a message and instantly regretted it? Or worse, got silence back? In this video, I'm giving you 7 texts that don't just get a reply, they build real attraction and leave the other person thinking about you long after the conversation has ended without even knowing why. If you're tired of ghosting, lukewarm responses, or endless dead-end conversations, you could be 1 message away from going from being someone they kinda like to someone they cannot stop thinking about. The texts in this video are not generic. They are specifically designed to create tension, spark desire, and leave the other person wanting more of you. Because attraction isn't just luck, it's language. And the words you send over text can matter more than you think. I'm also excited to see your reaction to text number 5, because the last time I gave this one, it got a lot of people riled up, but they're wrong. The bottom line is, if you've ever wondered what to say to keep someone hooked, this is your video. And if you want more videos like this, sharp, insightful, occasionally inappropriate, subscribe. You have my word, I will always do my very best not to waste your time. And if you are already subscribed, thank you. You are the reason this community exists. It's important in a video like this to come back to the practical side of dating. Over the last 10 years, I would say my work has evolved into deeper conversations around healing, mental health, and transforming the patterns that keep us stuck in love and life. But as much as confidence in ourselves matters, so does competence in creating attraction. Some of the texts I'm giving you today are new. Some are updated versions of my greatest hits, but all are taken from years of seeing what actually works in the real world. Also, you are such a beautifully diverse community at this point that you will see these texts delivered in a few different dynamics: straight couples, gay couples, and different emphasis depending on whether they're coming from masculine or feminine energy. So let's dive in. Our first text is the date setup. This text is great for initiating a date without being the one to actually plan it. Let's say you've been speaking with someone, having fun and flirty exchanges, but now you want them to actually ask you out instead of just texting back and forth forever. The text goes like this. Let's say that they've been making you laugh in the last few texts. You then say, LOL, are you as funny in person as you are in text? Now they may reply with something like, you'll have to tell me. You can then reply to that message by saying, no problem. You tell me when. This is a great message because it sets up the meet in person conversation, but in a natural and easygoing way. It also still allows them to be the one who sets up the date, which makes this a great message for someone who wants to be pursued, allowing someone else to be the one to take charge and set up the date while still being able to be proactive in initiating the date. So this is a great example of how letting someone else take charge in certain moments doesn't have to be at odds with you being in the driver's seat in your own love life. Here's why this builds attraction and leaves them wanting more. You've created playful tension and you've positioned yourself as someone who, while expecting to be pursued to some degree, also knows how to flirt without pressure. Our second text is the cheeky follow-up. This text is perfect for flirting after a date. Let's say you grab drinks with someone, then both of you went your separate ways for the night. Now, a lot of people might say something like, did you get home okay? Or, I hope you had fun tonight. And those are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But what I'm about to show you, way more fun. You text, I hope you managed to enjoy the rest of your night without me. And then a little smirky emoji. Now, this text could be sent by anyone to anyone. The word managed is what makes it for me. It's playfully bold, as if to say, wasn't your night clearly better when I was in it? This could also be adapted for a daytime text, of course. I hope you managed to enjoy the rest of your day without me. But I love how self-assured this message is. It shows the value of being a little playfully and harmlessly cocky, and the role that this kind of confidence plays in flirting and creating attraction. It demonstrates that you assume you brought value, which is so much more powerful than validation seeking. And it leaves them wanting more because it shows you have a little edge in a good way. See, it's really important in dating to be able to demonstrate sincerity, but too much sincerity too often, and we come across as impossibly and boringly earnest. I've always said that what most of us want in our love lives is a good human with a little bit of edge. Text number 3, the desire reaction text. Now, this is a great text for when someone sends you a compliment by text. Maybe they commented on a picture you posted, or how they've not stopped thinking about you since the other night. Instead of just saying, thanks, that's sweet, you say, making me blush in public over here. And you put a little blushy face. Now, I would say this one leans more towards a feminine energy. It's adorable, it's visual, you're painting a picture. It's also kind of hot. You're letting them know that their words have an effect on you. There's something sexy for a man or anyone who adheres to a more masculine energy to know that they are making someone blush. And I use the word sexy intentionally here. Had you just said, "Oh, thank you so much," you would be using platonic language. But this is not the language of attraction. The language of attraction is what I call desire language, which is what this text, making me blush in public over here, does. You're taking it into the realm of sexual chemistry, and the emoji is a cute way to add to that visual. Why does this build attraction? Because it isn't just you saying, I liked when you said that. It gives them an experience. And the part that leaves them wanting more is the added element of saying in public. It makes it even more fun because there's this playful element of not wanting to blush in front of others, but being made to do it involuntarily. This almost creates the subtext of a game, of you not wanting to blush and them consequently making you want to blush even more. They see your response and suddenly they want to make you blush again. By the way, you're probably thinking, I love these texts, but what do I say the next time they text me something confusing? Or what if I need help with the conversation I'm in right now? That is exactly why I created Matthew AI. It is like having me in your pocket 24/7. You can ask it anything from, what does this message mean? To, what should I say back? Or, am I overthinking this? And it gives you real-time, personalized advice based on everything I've taught over the last 2 decades. It is incredibly affordable, it is discreet, and it is insanely helpful. It gives you a level of tailored, contextual advice that previously was only ever available to people I worked with one-on-one. The great news is you can try Matthew AI out for free right now at askmh.com. You can even select your own native language from the drop-down menu if you want to hear me speaking Spanish, Mandarin, Croatian, or any other language that would amuse you. If you like it, you can join Matthew AI unlimited so that it is by your side anytime you need. So try it out. It is honestly remarkable, and it has helped over 100,000 users at this point. So I feel confident it will do the same for you. Text number 4 for building attraction and leaving them wanting more is the cute bid for affection. Now, this is great for when you want to show your adorable side. I used to have a message that I gave out to people that was both flirtatious and cute. You would send it after watching or listening to something a little bit scary. The original message went like this. My friend just made me watch Insidious. I need a cuddle. Don't you just want to squeeze the person who said that? It's sweet, it's affectionate, but it's not intense or sexual. It makes the other person feel protective of you while making you look adorable. Not in a way that says, I'm helpless, just in a way that says, you're the one I want comfort from right now. It's safe to say that this would typically work well for women or people coming from a feminine energy. But even for those with a more stereotypically masculine energy, it can work in a different way by using it to be cute and serve as what I call a unique pairing, playfully contrasting this side of you with your more masculine traits. Though what I might say instead in that case is, just watched Insidious. Not ashamed to admit I could have used you to hide under the covers with. But if we look at this in the more typically feminine role, this text works really well for building attraction by igniting the protective instinct in the person you send it to. And it's a compliment to them that they are the one you reached out to, albeit in a non-serious way, to feel safe. All right, we have arrived at text number 5. Brace yourselves. This one is called the Reluctant Mind Takeover. This one is one of my favorites, no matter how many people fight me on it. You've been on a second or a third date. There's heat. There's chemistry. Here's what you can send. And it differs a little whether it's coming from a man or a woman. If you're a guy, you text this. I keep thinking about you and it's annoying me. Eye roll emoji. If you're a woman, you can soften it and say, I keep thinking about you and last night. It's annoying. Little smirk emoji. Now, whichever of these two messages you send, they are both vulnerable and confident at the same time, which is great for attraction. You're being self-aware and a little bit self-deprecating, but you're also showing that you're not afraid of the other person's reaction to you admitting that you keep thinking about them. Now, some people hear this and say, why would I tell someone that I like that they're annoying me? That feels rude. These people don't know how to flirt. Kidding. You can't flirt by taking yourself so seriously all of the time. We have to be willing to play or you'll never engage in the kind of fun communication pattern breaks that create sparks. It's about having a little spice here and there. Flirting does not live in the realm of constantly playing it safe, nor does it live in the realm of being literal all of the time. Being stuck in nice mode does not create desire. Besides, The emojis at the end soften it and give away your real meaning. So can we just relax, everybody?
You're the one who's using intensity cam. It's true.
The bottom line is that this text both builds attraction and leaves them wanting more. It begs for a response. It shows that they got under your skin and that you kind of hate it. That emotional friction, that's what makes them want more. Text number 6, the hot callback. Now this is great for complimenting them while also creating tension. We're going to pick back up on a concept we've already talked about today, desire language. Now here we use it for a callback to something that's already happened. You reference something they did, but instead of saying that was sweet or that was nice, you say that was hot. You take something ordinary and you make it sexy. For example, ladies, you could say, I just remembered when you opened the car door for me last night. That was hot. But this can be flipped in all sorts of other directions. Me and my wife Audrey were once in a retro arcade bar in Osaka, Japan, which is a cool sentence, and we spent about 45 minutes playing multiplayer GoldenEye. Remember GoldenEye, millennials? Now something happened that I would never have expected in a million years. She destroyed me. I finished humbled, bewildered, and mildly aroused. Now let's say that we were on date 2 at the time. I could have texted her the next day and said, just remembered when you beat me at GoldenEye last night. That was hot. That is flirtation. It's also funny. And the reason this builds attraction is because it makes the other person feel seen and admired in a way that's playful, specific, and charged. Text number 7, the confidence smackdown. Now this is great for when you want to respond to someone who reaches out after a couple of days of being off the radar. This definitely isn't the best name I could have come up with for this text, but I just really wanted to say that while my team threw up some kind of wrestling graphic or picture in the background. Now imagine someone's been quiet, a little inconsistent. Then they show up with, thinking of you. Some people might melt. They'd say, "Ah, I've been thinking of you too." But if they've been flaky, that's a little too generous, wouldn't you say? Instead, they say thinking of you, and you say, well, obviously, oh, chef's kiss. I mean, especially if they've been a bit quiet. What this says is that you've been unaffected, you're just doing your thing, and that it completely makes sense to you that they would have been thinking of you because you're awesome. It also avoids validating someone's behavior of going a bit cold by instantly replying with something like, I've been thinking of you too, which might be appropriate for someone who has been attentive and consistent, but a little too rewarding of inconsistency for someone who hasn't. It's short, it's sweet, it's confident, and it resets the power dynamic beautifully. Now, here's why this builds attraction and leaves them wanting more. It signals that you are not sitting by your phone and that you expect to be thought of, but you're not going to keep thinking about someone who doesn't put in more effort. These texts may seem small, but they create moments, and attraction is built in moments. If you want more of it, as well as more respect and investment from people in dating, language matters. I hope this video proved that, if nothing else. And if you want to continue to build your competence as well as your confidence in dating, try Matthew AI. It's there when you need it, and it's made to help you feel clear, calm, and confident every step of the way. Instead of sitting there overthinking a message, doubting yourself, or second-guessing what it all means, have me in your pocket so that I can help you write messages anytime you need, 24/7. Like I said, you can try it for free at askmh.com, and it's pretty addictive, just like you will be if you follow its advice. And if you're already using Matthew AI, then tell me a cool or even surprising way it has helped you in the comment section below. I'm excited to read your stories, and I will see you next time. 7 things I wish I knew when I was dating. I, like many people, perhaps most people, can look back on a time in my life where I was looking for love and misguided in the way that I was doing it. I wanted to tell you about 7 things that maybe I would in some way go back and tell myself if I had the chance. Before we get into the video, if you have not pre-ordered the new book, Love Life, How to Raise Your Standards, Find Your Person, and Live Happily No Matter What, now's an amazing time to do so. Pre-orders really matter to authors like me because pre-orders help get the word out about a book. And I wanted to make it as easy as possible for you to make the decision to pre-order, which by the way is getting easier all the time because we're only a matter of a week and a half out now from the publication of the book. But I've put together some really exciting things for you. When you pre-order a copy of the book, you get entered into a prize giveaway. We're giving away live retreat places on my Florida retreat this year. We're giving away some one-on-ones with me. If you've ever wanted a coaching session with me privately, we're giving away some as part of this. We're giving away some Love Life sweatshirts. Jeremy, let's flash a little image of me sporting the sweatshirt up on the screen, and some really cool other things that you'll find on the page lovelifebook.com where you can pre-order the book. You'll also automatically get an invite to an event I am doing on May the 4th that is an exclusive to book buyers, and a couple of other bonuses. Go to lovelifebook.com to pre-order your copy now, and I can't wait for you to read this. I've worked so hard on it for years now, literally 4 years of my life, and I just can't wait for you to get your hands on this. Go to lovelifebook.com and get yours now. All right, on to the video. What I wish I knew when I was dating. Number 1, you are not for everyone, and that's okay. I know there were times in my life where if someone I wanted didn't like me back or went cold, I would take that to be a reflection of my value or how attractive I was, or that I had failed in attracting this person, that I had made a mistake, that I'd done something stupid that I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have said that, or I should have done this. But remember this, if we're being an authentic version of ourselves, we will get rejected. It's not just normal, it should be expected, because when we're bringing all of ourselves to the table, we won't be for everybody. And that has nothing to do with our worth. It has to do with everybody else's tastes. I saw a meme once that said, you can't make everyone happy, you are not pizza. Well, so many of us in our love lives try to go around being pizza to people in the world of attraction. But pizza isn't what we should be trying to be. When me and my wife Audrey go to get sushi, my favorite piece of sushi, the one I look forward to the most, is uni. Now, Audrey can't stand the idea of uni. It's not for her. I can't even get her to have a bit of mine when I eat it. I get so excited about it. I would go to a sushi restaurant just to eat uni. How much Audrey likes uni is not a reflection of uni's worth. It's just a reflection of Audrey's tastes, which, when it comes to uni, are bad. Don't try to be the pizza of people. Be somebody's uni. Because here's the thing, dating and love is not a popularity contest. If you're being intentional about finding a relationship, you don't need everyone, you just need one. Number 2, what we want and what we need are very different things. We might get attracted to qualities like status or looks or charm, charisma, the fact that they're really skilled at certain things. They know 5 languages. They're really good at the guitar, whatever it may be. We get attracted to these things that have no bearing on how great of a partner someone will eventually be, about how caring they'll be in year 3, or how much they see us, or how loyal or consistent they'll be. None of those qualities that we initially get attracted to are about how happy this person will make us. They might affect how desirable they seem in a room, or how popular they are, or how much everyone thinks that we're lucky to have a person like that. And that's of course the danger of going after the things that we say we want, is that so many of them are driven by our ego, that we think that we'll be worthy if we get a person like that. And of course, when our friends or our family validate that by saying, oh, good for you, you got a person like this, they're really impressive, they're really fun, they're really charismatic, they're whatever, they're good looking. When we hear those things, we think, oh, they must be great, they must be worth holding on to. Even the people around me think they're wonderful. But so often that divorces us from our real experience of being with someone. When we're so busy trying trying to get someone or hold on to someone, we stop paying attention to how we actually feel when we're with them. I know I've been in a situation before where I was so busy trying to just hold on that I didn't actually notice that I was utterly miserable by being there. And when we notice that, when we start paying attention to our actual feelings and we realize we're unhappy, we realize how absurd it is to keep wanting someone that is making us unhappy. So it's okay to want certain things, but never at the expense of what actually makes you happy in a relationship. Question the things you've told yourself you want. Get in touch with the things you actually need. Number 3, hard to get does not mean great to keep. There is this strange economics of value that happens for many of us, where if someone's scarce, if they pull away, if they make us have to work really hard for their attention, or if they're unavailable, we feel like they must be more valuable. But one does not necessarily lead to the other. There are plenty of reasons why someone is not available to us that have nothing to do with their value for us. I know there were times in my life where I thought someone was more valuable because I couldn't get them. And that made me think about them and ruminate about them in ways that were unhealthy and attach a level of value that they'd never even earned and I didn't know they had. So just because someone is hard to get, it doesn't mean that they would be very valuable for our life if we were able to get them. And by the way, hands up in the comments if you've ever thought someone was hard to get and then you got them and realized you didn't want to keep them. Also, remember this, because I can flip this as well. Your sure thing, the person that wants you, is somebody else's unrequited love, and certainly has been in the past. This realization for me meant that when Audrey, my now wife, came into my life and presented as healthy love, presented as someone who actually wanted me, someone who was being intentional and wanted to move things forward with me, I didn't devalue her because she was presenting as easy and not challenging in that way of me having to chase and chase and chase. Instead, I was able to see that this person was incredible for me. And she just happened to be, lucky for me, at a point in her life where she was ready for something more. Just because someone is presenting as safe and secure for you, it doesn't mean that they're less valuable. And it doesn't mean that they haven't at a different point in their life been somebody else's hard to get. Instead of devaluing the person who actually wants you, see yourself as lucky that they're hard to get isn't what you're experiencing. Number 4, intention is everything. Intention is, does someone want the same things I do? Are we on the same path? Do we see what we want to build? Do we both want to be in a relationship? Do we want to be in a relationship with each other? Is what I want for my future the same thing they want for their future? Or at the very least, are our futures compatible? This is intention. So often people ask me, Matt, do they like me? Do you think based on what they're doing, they like me? They watch my stories. Does that mean they like me? They keep texting me. Or every time I text them, they text me back. Once a month, they ask me on a date. Surely they like me. Why else would they be doing these things? There are so many people that go on a discovery to try to figure out if someone likes them, as if that's the most important question. The answer to that can be frustratingly simple, which is, yeah, they like you. If they keep wanting to have sex with you, if they keep wanting to spend time with you, if they keep giving you their attention, on some level, they like you. That doesn't mean anything. The fact that someone likes us might be enough for them to give us some of their attention sometimes, but it doesn't mean that they have any value for our future, because in order to have value for our future, someone actually has to want the same things we do. They have to want to be with us. They have to want to say yes to a relationship with us. If someone's not in the same place as us and they don't actually want anything more than some hits of attention or to share our company for a few hours a week or a month or to just exchange messages, then how relevant is it that they like us? It doesn't matter. What matters is what they want to pursue with us. So we have to stop asking ourselves if someone likes us. I always remember one of my first ever YouTube videos when I was like 19 years old was how to tell if a person likes you. But in the years that followed that, I've made far more videos about whether someone has any real intentions with you, because someone liking us can be really uninteresting if we find out they don't actually want what we want. Intention is everything. Number 5, Get out of the middle. This is something I would have told myself looking back, because in times where I could have been way, way happier by being decisive, I created a tremendous amount of unhappiness for myself and for other people by getting stuck in the middle. And here's what I mean by that. Because there was a kind of tendency for me to overthink, there's a tendency for me in every part of my life, but I felt it showed up in my love life as well, of course. My overthinking had me be incredibly indecisive about what was right for my love life and who was right for my love life and who should I ultimately end up with. Like many people out there watching this, that decision overwhelmed me. This is probably the most important decision I'll ever make. How do I make sure I make the right one? And when I was overthinking about that, instead of just being in the moment and experiencing someone and seeing where something went, it would make me look for things that made someone not the right person. And if I found something that made someone appear in some way, big or small, to not be the right person, I would then withdraw. But I wouldn't withdraw in the sense that I would end it and move on. I would then kind of keep the relationship at that level without progression. And of course, this is exactly the pattern that so many people do that ends up hurting somebody else so much, because you can waste an extraordinary amount of someone's time and really hurt them by staying in the middle instead of either saying goodbye or fully committing. But I found myself doing this in my own love life. The shame of it was, by staying and living in my uncertainty and not progressing the relationship, I also never gave that relationship the chance to be what it could really be. Because you never know what a relationship can be if you don't go all in. You never give it a chance to really flower into the thing it could be. You certainly never give the other person a chance to be all they can be. Because if someone feels inherently unsafe or insecure or consents that you're not all in, they don't feel safe to really open up or be themselves or give the kind of love they can give when they are feeling safe. I neither freed up space for something that was right, nor got to see if the person in front of me and the relationship in front of me could be right. I just stayed in the middle and spent an incredible amount of time and energy and emotions in that place. And of course, me living on that level with someone didn't avoid the heartbreak I was worried about by getting too invested, because it ended up in heartbreak anyway for everyone involved. So that's what I would have told myself. Get out of the middle. Number 6, never abandon yourself for someone you want. It is such a natural instinct when we want someone, when we want to please someone, when we want to make them happy, to start to ignore things that we need, friendships, hobbies, aspects of our work that are really important to us, interests we have that we would ordinarily give time to or want to talk about. We start to morph our world into one that suits them so that we can make them happy or appease them or just make ourselves convenient for their needs and for the ways they want to spend their time or the projects that are important to them, their sense of purpose in life, how they want to live. And it can feel like we're doing a good thing when we do this. It can feel like we're being incredibly sacrificial in the best possible way, that we're making compromises that people do when they love someone. The danger, of course, is that we start to forget or not pay attention to the fact that every compromise, every sacrifice is always in the same direction. It's always you giving up something that's important to you or something that makes your life in service of somebody else. And maybe that's okay for a little bit of time when you're in a certain chapter with someone. But when that chapter never ends, we can lose track. We can start to forget ourselves. We can start to forget who we are and what we enjoy. And we can ignore the fact that all of these things we're doing for this person are completely taken for granted. They're not connecting to the sacrifices we're making. They're not connecting to the ways we're going out of our way for them. It just becomes an expectation. And that's why in certain situations, when we start trying to reclaim ourselves or rebuild our lives, we can suddenly realize that that person won't make any of the same sacrifices in return. That person's not willing to compromise. Now, all we're doing is trying to take away something that has become an expectation. So we have to be really careful not to abandon ourselves. The right relationship is the one where we can be ourselves with our interests and the things we love about our life and the people in our lives, and we can merge those with somebody else's, not one where we have to abandon ourselves and our world in order to keep the relationship going. Number 7, just because it's right doesn't mean it will be easy. There is a line that's thrown around, which is, if it's right, it will be easy. And I don't always agree with that. I think it will be easy a lot of the time, but there'll still be hard moments, even in the right relationship. There will be collisions, there'll be tension, there'll be disagreements. There'll be times where someone innocently activates our trauma, our wound, our insecurities, the baggage we've brought to the relationship. And it doesn't necessarily mean they've done anything wrong, but it will be hard for us that we feel triggered by something they've done. I know that in my dating life, a lot of the time, when it got hard, I would push someone away. I would become avoidant. That was because I was scared. This person hadn't done anything wrong. I just got scared and started to push them away. The danger with that idea of when it's right, it's easy, is that often what feels easy to us is what's comfortable to us, what's familiar to us. I know for a long time in my relationships, what was really comfortable for me was being in the driver's seat, was being the one in control, but that wasn't necessarily what created an equal relationship. It wasn't what created happiness in a long-term relationship. It just allowed me to feel like it was easy for me. But easy isn't the same thing as fulfilling. So I got to a point in my life where I realized I'm going to have to start to embrace what is uncomfortable to me. And I took that a little far as well. Because when the pendulum swung all the way in the other direction, I got really hurt because when it got hard, I said, this is good medicine for me. I'm going to learn, I'm going to improve, I'm going to grow in ways I need to grow. But what I didn't pay attention to was that it didn't get any easier. It just stayed hard. And in some cases, it got worse. So it's also not true that great relationships are just hard. The nuance is somewhere in the middle. And that's something I had to learn the hard way, that it's okay for something to be hard in moments. That doesn't mean it's the wrong relationship. If you are able to embrace the hard and resolve it together in the right relationship, hard leads to easy. In other words, if I would get triggered by something and I brought it up and we had a conversation about it, there may be an initial tension or argument or blow up, but the way we came together afterwards in a compassionate and kind way allowed me to heal. It was a corrective experience for me. And at the end of it all, I actually felt much, much safer. And in many cases, what's been amazing about my marriage is that triggers I once had are no longer triggers in the same way, because the way that we've overcome them has actually allowed me to heal and feel safe in ways I never had before. But I never would have got to that if I just bailed as soon as it got hard. So what I wish I knew when I was dating is that it's okay for something to be hard, but it should never stay hard. Hard should lead to easy. Thank you for watching the video. Grab a copy of your book at lovelifebook.com before you go. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that next week you get the next video automatically. Thank you so much to everyone who has been pre-ordering a copy of the book. I cannot tell you how much it means to me. And the more of you that do, the bigger a splash we make in week 1. And the more we make a splash, the more people who need this book will hear about it. So help me raise the standards of not just you and the people you love, but all the strangers out there that need to hear about this book to make great decisions in their love life and do love better. I'll see you next time.
There have been so many young people watching our videos and always calling out for us to make a video for teenagers, and it's hard to know what's the right one, and I can't do them every week because there's just so little time. But this is a video for teenagers. In fact, it's a video aimed at one teenager in particular, and that's myself, my teenage, awkward, insecure, spotty self. What would you tell yourself if you could go back? I know it's the beginning of a new school year, it's a fresh start, and as I was thinking about this, I started thinking about what I would want to know as a teenager going into a new year. These are the 7 things I'd tell my teenage self. Number 1, take risks. Try new things. I think one of the things that happens to us when we're at school is we tend to carry on the way we start school. You know, very quickly we start school and an identity is created for us. Not even necessarily by ourselves, but by the way other people see us. And gradually, over time, we end up reinforcing that identity instead of doing some of the new things we actually want to do. As we get older, we realize we're always going to be able to talk about the things we did, but we're never going to be able to talk about the things we didn't do. I can't tell you right now about the play that I did at school. I can't tell you that story because it doesn't exist. Now, let's say when I was at school, I did the school play and I fell off the stage and it was a horrible, embarrassing moment. Guess what? Right now in my life as an adult, I could tell you that story. What's my story? Well, I didn't do the play and therefore no one made fun of me. That's not a good story. 2, be careful who you're trying to impress right now. Whether you're 13 or whether you're 19, there are people right now that consciously or unconsciously you're trying to impress. Be very careful about that. If I were able to extrapolate each one of those people in your life right now, in your age group, and say, here's where they're going to be in 10 years' time. If I could show you that future, I guarantee you would reevaluate who you're trying to impress right now. I'm not saying you should be trying to impress anybody, but I know that subconsciously we walk around and there are people that we wish would like us. Do not worry about it. Worry about what you're doing right now. 3, trying to get yourself invited to the party doesn't get you invited to the party. I remember at school that one of the big insecurities I had was, there's a party going on Friday, am I going to be invited? You spend your entire week trying to get in good with the person who's throwing the party so that they'll invite you to the party. But that doesn't work. Being invited to parties is just a byproduct of being the type of person that other people want to spend time with. So don't focus on the parties and the gatherings and the friendship groups. Focus on being that person that other people love spending time with. 4, ignore people's first reactions to the things you do. One of the biggest fears at school is when we try something different, other people are going to look at us strange. It's like when you go in with a new haircut. The horrible moment is where you walk in and everyone looks at you. Oh, look who got a haircut. That's weird. Why did you do that? The people that usually fail and always end up staying how they are the people that take that on board and then change their hair back to the way it was the next day. People that actually get people's acceptance are the ones that don't need everyone else's acceptance. They say, you know what? This haircut, this way I'm looking, might be something that does look stupid a year from now, or it might be something I do look back on with complete embarrassment. But I'm gonna do it anyway. If it's something I wanna do, I'm gonna do it right now and change it when I feel I wanna change it, not because of the reactions of other people. And when you ignore their reactions, what you'll find is you get over that initiation period and you get to a point where people accept how you are. 5, school can suck. A lot of school is doing things you don't want to do, studying things you don't want to study, hanging around with people you don't want to hang around with, listening to teachers you don't want to be around. The myth is that that all changes. The big lie is when I start doing the thing that I really love, I'll get to stop doing things I don't love. Doesn't work like that. I've found in my life that even though today I do the thing I love more than anything else in the world, there are plenty of things I have to do that aren't things I love. I love doing seminars, I love public speaking, but guess what? The moments where I'm sitting at home late at night on my own trying to figure out the right way to say a sentence in a seminar, drafting, redrafting, typing up that version, scrapping it, learning it, all that stuff happens before I even step out on stage. And it is monotonous and boring and it can be so trivial it will make you go crazy. I don't love that stuff. That means that the real art is in finding a way to enjoy whatever you're doing. Now you're at school, so I give you a great challenge right now. When you're doing the things you don't want to do, can you figure out your own ways of enjoying doing those things? Because if you can do that, you're going to be happy for the rest of your life. 6, see everything as a stepping stone. As I just said, school can suck. You do many things you don't want to do. But when you're thinking about the one thing that you want to do, sometimes when we dream as kids, we have these pie in the sky ideas of either how quickly we're going to get there or how easy the transition is going to be there. It can get kind of depressing, therefore, when we find that there are tons of steps in the middle. Many people really resent jobs they do because they feel like, well, this isn't getting me closer to where I want to be. I'm in the wrong area. And the most successful people I've met have done many different jobs that had nothing to do with where they ended up. But here's the difference. Rather than seeing things as a waste of time, they saw everything as a stepping stone. The wrong job before the job you're passionate about can be the right job at the time. So don't fret that right now you're going into something that isn't exactly where you want to be. The wrong job can be a blessing when it teaches you more about what you want and about where you want to go. All right, number 7, enjoy being young, but think like an adult. When you're a teenager, people are trying to put all sorts of rules on you. You know, very often people try and scare you in areas like sex or drugs or drinking. This is just an effort to keep you safe, to make sure you don't make bad decisions. But adults have a way of making kids scared so that they never do something. And by doing that, they lose the credibility in their argument because they make something too bad. But just because an adult is treating you like a kid, it doesn't mean you have to rebel like a kid. You can still make the smart choice, and it doesn't involve always agreeing with your parents, but it does involve doing what's best for you. In other words, if you're a young girl and your parents don't like your boyfriend, they may have a reason that's valid for not liking your boyfriend, but they may communicate that to you in a really negative, overly harsh way that doesn't show any understanding of you. That doesn't mean that the smart thing to do is rebel and run away with your boyfriend in a car somewhere where no one knows where you are. That's not the smart thing to do. It might not be that you want to agree with everything your parents say, but do the best thing for you in the scenario. Don't rebel just because you want to get back at someone. That's dumb, it's stupid, and it leads teenagers to doing things that they only end up regretting later in life. I'm not preaching to you, trust me. I made my own mistakes, I went through my own learning curve. You need to go and mess up. You need to go and make mistakes. Just make mistakes you can recover from. Make mistakes that aren't going to kill you. Make mistakes that allow you to build your future in spite of those mistakes. Make mistakes that allow you to grow. And where you can, take a little learning from some people who have been there and see if you can apply it. Ain't always easy, but this video and others like it are at least a little shot at that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that you're even the type of teenager that would want to grow through this stuff. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you're an adult watching this, leave a comment saying what you would tell yourself as a teenager. What one thing would you like to tell yourself as a teenager that you know would have made life better? Take care, my friends. I'll see you real soon.
One of the things that I think makes a year really exceptional is feeling like we really lived that year. One of the things that allows me to feel like I've lived is when I feel like my life is rich in experiences and rich in relationships that I'm proud of, and that there's a sense of growth and expansion in my life. And so in this video, I want to talk about 7 different habits, some of them quite subtle things, that can lead to a life that is rich in connections, that is rich in experiences, and that will create a more powerful social life for you this year and will massively increase your chances of finding love. And every one of the habits that I'm going to give you today serves 4 different masters at the same time. The first is they actually increase our love for life. Because when we're really living and when we're having different experiences and meeting new people or strengthening our relationships, we love our lives more. We give ourselves more reasons to be really immersed in this amazing life. The second goal they serve is that they make us better conversationalists, because the more ways that we're injecting newness and fun and connection into our life, or even just new learnings, the more we're going to be better in conversation. We're going to be, the people that have the best conversation tend to be the people that really live. The third big advantage of these 7 habits I'm going to give you today is that they're going to get you out of your comfort zone in small ways. And when we get out of our comfort zone, we build our confidence. I think one of the big reasons that we're afraid to leave a relationship or we accept bad treatment from someone is because we're insecure, we're worried about what our life is going to be without this person, we're worried we won't survive or life's just going to be a lot worse. But when our life is rich outside of a person, someone leaving you doesn't have this, it doesn't instill you with the same dread, the same fear, because someone leaving you doesn't mean your life is leaving with them. And lastly, The 7 habits that I'm going to talk about will increase your chances of finding love because they're actually going to make your life bigger in really crucial ways that serve your love life. So with that said, let's jump in. These are the 7 habits that will help you transform both your social life and your love life at the same time. The first habit is to make micro missions for your social life. In the times in my life where I've been on tour, especially in the times when I was single, so I wasn't traveling with a partner and I wasn't traveling with a big team, I had the somewhat lonely experience of traveling from city to city on my own, ironically to talk about connection, but I was going all over the world doing these events, getting off of planes, getting in cars, going to hotels, and doing much of it by myself. And I would have this urge when I was there to feel like I was making the most of it. So I would set myself a micro mission every time I got to my hotel. I would say, I am going to find the nearest cool bar, like some well-reviewed place that feels like it's got some fun or it's in a cool area or a cool part of town. I made sure it wasn't far from my hotel because the moment it was too far, it became kind of overwhelming. So go for one drink, sit at the bar, and stay for half an hour. That was my micro mission. And sometimes I would go and I would have that drink and I would make small talk with the bartender and I would leave and that would be that. And nothing that great would happen, but I would be in a new place. I'd at least see something. And I felt like I didn't just stay in my hotel room and order room service. Other times, I might get chatting to the person next to me. Someone might start talking to me. I might be brave enough to talk to them, but a whole conversation would happen. Before I knew it, I was getting recommendations about where to go next or where to try in the city tomorrow, or I was even getting invited somewhere in some cases. But some unexpected encounter or evening would occur as a result. None of it occurred because I set myself this overwhelming task of going out and having this big evening, this big night in the city. Because the moment I told myself that, it was overwhelming and I would just go, I can't deal with all of that. But the micro mission of a bar nearby, one drink, 30 minutes, sit at the bar, and then you can call it, was enough to get my brain out of its own way. What's the micro mission that you could give yourself this week, this month, or even as a regular mission this year that is going to create that little crack in the door that's necessary for newness to enter? It could be a micro mission of once a month, I'm going to go for coffee with someone that I don't see very often, but I'd like a closer friendship with, or someone that I've met that month. That's going to increase the size of your social circle. That's going to potentially start getting you invited into new communities, because when you start hanging out with a person that is only a loose connection that you wouldn't call a friend, and you start getting a little closer to that person, there's every chance that that person now invites you to something where you don't know anyone, and all of a sudden it builds a new community. That micro mission once a month can change your life. And by the way, I said to you that all of these serve 4 masters. They get you to love life more. They get you out of your comfort zone. They get you to be a better conversationalist, and they can help your love life. Well, how does this one specifically help your love life? One of the greatest ways to find love is to get into new communities. And one of the greatest ways to get into new communities is by hanging out with people you don't normally hang out with. The second habit is a mindset that I would tell myself. I would habitually remind myself of this anytime I got invited somewhere. Because for me, as an introvert, who also in my lifetime has suffered with shyness, I used to be a lot more shy. I'm still just as introverted, but I used to be a lot more shy. And what I found was I needed little hacks to get myself to actually say yes to things, because my instinct was to say no. I don't know if you have that experience. You want to say no, even when you say yes, you then end up regretting it. And you're like, oh my God, now I have to go to this thing. Especially if there are people there that you don't really know, then that feels even more overwhelming. I would tell myself, you can always go home. For me, that little mindset hack of you can always go home was almost like a way of speaking to my inner child. You're an adult now, remember? You grew up. You could do whatever you want. If you're going, it's because you're deciding to go. And if you decide to go, you can also decide to leave. You can always go home. If you get there and 30 minutes later, you're like, I'm done. You can go home, but go. So that habit, small mindset shift every time you get invited somewhere, and that instinct is to say no because you're afraid or because it seems overwhelming or even because you feel like you're too busy in your life right now. I can always go home. Now, habit number 3 is going to seem like an interesting one to throw in the mix of all of this. Consume new content. We tend to be attached to the kinds of things that we are used to. And that's true for books and the kinds of books we read. It's true for music and the songs we listen to. It's true for the radio station we might listen to or the podcasts we listen to. It's true for the kind of movies we watch. And we live today in an even more dangerous environment for our comfort zone because the algorithms of Netflix or Spotify or YouTube or Amazon are all pitching you more of the things you already listen to. And we start to go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of our own echo chamber where we're hearing the same things, we're having our own existing interests reflected back at us, posing as newness, but actually more of the same. Again, what did I say? Every one of these habits serves 4 masters: loving life more, being a better conversationalist, getting out of your comfort zone, and improving your love life. Let's look at this one. How does it improve those 4 things? Well, I think that the more we absorb in life in new ways, the bigger our life gets, the more we see how big the world really is. And that starts to get us excited about life again. Instead of our world contracting, our world starts to open up. How does it get us out of our comfort zone? Well, if you're used to reading non-fiction self-development books and all of a sudden you pick up a Haruki Murakami book that's a fiction that is in a completely different category and you never read it and it starts to feel a little bit out of your depth, that's going to push you mentally, right? And it's actually going to build your confidence if you can stick with it instead of bailing on it after 2 pages. It's going to improve your conversation because all of a sudden you're going to have new things to talk about. The person who only ever reads self-development books, it's all they ever talk about. That's the only thing they know how to say. But when they get taken into other waters, other interests from other people, they're lost. They don't know how to relate it to something that they've been engaging with. So it's finding newness that leads to great conversation, and it improves our love life because when we meet someone, we start to show ourselves to be this more interesting, rounded person who's surprising. You know, someone thought we were this person, and then we bring up a reference about this, or we talk about a song we like in this category, and they go, I thought I knew you. I didn't know you were into this as well. We start to become more enigmatic. So consuming new content is actually a way of improving everything in our lives, improving our social life, improving our love life, improving our own confidence. We were in Tokyo recently and my brother just went to Tower Records, one of the only, it might be the only Tower Records left in the world, I'm not sure. But he was in Tower Records listening to different vinyls and different songs at random. He was like, I just went for a few hours just to discover new music. Right? He just went and he didn't go in search of albums he already knew. He just started listening to new music with the headphones on in the store. And he came back and he started introducing. He was like, you got to listen to this album. One of the albums he introduced me to, I literally listened to on the entire plane ride back. And that was because he went in search of newness. takes bravery to do that. It takes us being willing to just go in search of something awesome that we don't already know. And that ends up making us more interesting to other people. I'm now grateful to my brother for introducing me to newness that he discovered because he was pioneering in a way in his life. Consume new content. While we're on that subject, by the way, I write a newsletter every single week that's completely free and is delivered to your inbox every Friday called The 3 Relationships. Every week, I write on the subject of one of the 3 relationships. I believe that there are 3 relationships that determine our quality of life: our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with life, and our relationship with other people. And every week I write a letter on these relationships that I think can help you. So if you want some newness from me, not just these YouTube videos, but subjects that I don't always cover in my YouTube videos, but I do in my private newsletter, come join us. It's free and you can sign up at the3relationships.com. Habit number 4, do a different version of the thing you already do. This is a subtle one because we often think about introducing newness into our lives or making our lives bigger as doing something brand new, trying a new hobby, visiting a completely different country. But I also know there's a more subtle way to start to build your life in 2025, which is to take things that you already do and just do a different version of them. So, for example, if you take a Pilates class in a specific place, in a specific part of town, you could literally just choose a different part of town and go and try a class there. And the beauty of this is that you're seeing new places, you're sort of expanding the territory of your life, but you're also upping the chances of meeting new people. If you think about the advantage of dating apps in finding love, what is the real crux of why dating apps matter? Why they work? A dating app simply means you can meet someone who goes to a coffee shop you don't go to. One of the greatest advantages is that they get you to meet people that you wouldn't meet in your normal path that you take in life. You go from your house to work, to your standard coffee shop that you always go to, and back again. You go to the same gym, you hang out with the same friends, and all of that means that you actually end up meeting the same people over and over and over and over again. We can actually start to benefit from this dating app effect by doing a different version of the thing we already do. When we go to a different coffee shop, we're exposing ourselves to the group of people that go to that coffee shop, to that community, and therefore upping our chances of actually meeting our person. Not to mention just getting outside our comfort zone a bit, shaking things up a bit, creating new grooves in our mind, which is a good thing. It stimulates us. It expands our world. Whereas many people, especially as they get older, their world contracts. They do the same things, go to the same places, and there is no newness anymore. Now, number 5 is a bigger leap. Each year, I have a habit of putting something in my year that really shakes me out of my comfort zone, or that is completely new, or shifts me in some fundamental way. Last year, I can think of 2 big things. Audrey and I took a trip to Africa, which was something that we had never done before. It was truly the trip of a lifetime. It was a genuine adventure. It wasn't us just going and sitting by the side of a pool. It was us going and having a true life-changing adventure. The other one that we did was the 2 of us went to a mindfulness retreat together. We went to essentially a 3-day meditation course. And it was an investment in time and money, but it was a chance for us to genuinely do something that we wouldn't normally do. And for me, as I'm trying to learn more about mindfulness and I'm trying to create more of a practice in my life for that, it was a way of me saying, I am taking this seriously and I'm really going to do something that shifts me. And it did. It really did shift me. It was an investment to say, I'm actually going to put this in my year when I could just work more days, or I could be doing something that was way more comfortable. I could be doing something way more in my comfort zone, because it was really outside my comfort zone to go and sit there and do that. But instead we said, no, this is one of those big moments in the year where we're going to expand ourselves. Put something like that in your year. And for those of you, by the way, that would like to do something like that with me, in October of this year, I am for the first time doing something I've never done before, which is taking my 6-day retreat program and transforming it into a 2-day coaching retreat. For everyone who has always wanted to come to my retreat, this is the perfect year to do it, because so many people couldn't attend it before because the logistics were difficult. People didn't necessarily have 7 days to take off of work. People couldn't necessarily get childcare. We had teachers who wanted to come, but it was in term time. We have made it 2 days so that logistically, it's way easier for people to find the time in their schedule to come and do this. Men weren't able to come in previous years. We had it as a women-only program. But now, men, if you're watching this, you can come as well. You are more than welcome. We would love to have you there. The event is happening on the 18th and 19th of October. It's happening in Miami, Florida, and it is going to be at an incredible venue. I cannot wait for you to see. And by the way, there is an early bird offering right now just for this month. That means that you can get significant discounts on every category of ticket, whether you're going for the VIP experience or general admission. There are really great discounts right now that are only available for the early bird special. So get those while you can at mhretreat.com. I really hope to see you there, because this is going to be an incredible event. And this is actually going to be, in many ways, the big moment of my year. This is the thing I'm putting in my year that is going to be a huge growth moment and something I'm really excited to share with you. So I hope to see you there. Okay, habit number 6. This is something that I am playing with in my own life right now and looking for what the right way to do this is for 2025. So I want to offer it to you, not as something that I've been doing, but something that I'm looking at doing for this year. This is the idea of having some kind of routine social event or plan that is in place on a regular basis in your life in a way that you kind of don't have to think about. Years ago, I used to talk about the idea of a happy hour that we did every fortnight. And this was the idea that you have a certain place that you go to for coffee or for drinks that any friends of yours can come to at the same time every couple of weeks. Every week felt like it was potentially a lot at the time. So I was like, every 2 weeks feels manageable. But it was something that you could invite friends to, and you could even invite their friends. So you could say, if you want to bring someone, bring them. I'm going to be at this place at this time. Come join me for a drink, or come join me for coffee. Having this regular thing gives you something that's in the diary that you don't have to overthink. Let's say you do it every 2 weeks. You're never more than 2 weeks away from having something to invite someone to. If you meet someone you like, if you have coffee with someone, or if you meet someone in your local place that you go and you want to hang out with them more, you can be like, by the way, next week I'm getting together with a couple of friends. We do it every couple of weeks. You're more than welcome to come. You've always got something to invite someone to, even a date maybe. Right? That's the other cool thing, is if you're getting on well with someone and you want to invite them to something very casual and low key, you can invite them to that. Have a regular social routine. The last habit, number 7, is social stacking. This is where you take something that you already do or want to do, and you combine it with something that can actually build your social life or your love life. So, for example, I live in Los Angeles. I like hiking. Do I like hiking? Yes, I like hiking. Sometimes I have to remind myself because I don't want to go a lot. But every time I go, I'm really glad I went. So my brother Matthew Hussey recently moved to LA, and we are both busy and we try and find time to sync up. And what's been really lovely is calling him up and being like, hey, I'm doing a hike this weekend. Notice that I'm doing a hike. It's not even a, do you want to do a hike together. It's just, I'm going to go on a hike. Do you want to come? Because I'm going to go anyway. That's the whole point. This is something I would like to do regardless, even if I went on my own and just listened to music. But I say to him, do you want to come on this hike with me? And then we go together and we end up spending 2 or 3 hours, even an hour sometimes, talking in a way that we wouldn't normally if we were sat around watching the TV, and also doing something that I want to do anyway in my life. Where could you make more use of this in your life so that your social life isn't always something that you say, I've got to find the time for? It's something that actually integrates into your world in a way that has a whole other win for you and a whole other win for the other person. If you can find a way to take something that's a genuine win for everybody involved and combine it with that social time, it's amazing how much more social time you'll get. And in some cases, it's actually more quality social time. For me, the hike is absolutely better time for connection for me and my brother than spending time doing something where I know we wouldn't end up talking anyway. By the way, as you're listening to all of these habits, you will realize that many of them do involve having more confidence. Many of them do involve getting outside of our comfort zone. And to make the most of them, we also need the ability to be able to speak to people in these places when we get there, to interact with strangers. If we're trying to find love, to interact with strangers in a flirtatious way that could actually lead somewhere. I have a free training called Dating with Results that is going to show you how to build your confidence, get outside your comfort zone, begin a new chapter in your love life specifically, and connect with more people and create attraction. If you haven't watched it yet, go to datingwithresults.com and try that out. It's completely free. It's a really great 1-hour training, and it will set you up for a much, much higher chance of finding love in 2025. Like I said, every single one of these habits helps you with getting outside your comfort zone, which is good, loving life, because you're doing more and living more and having more experiences and building more connections. It helps you become a better conversationalist, because if you do all of these things, you're going to have a lot more to talk about and you're going to be a lot more practiced in conversation. And lastly, it helps you find love, because the greatest way to find love is to live an expansive life. Many of us don't find love because our life contracts and contracts and contracts and contracts until we're no longer meeting anyone new, and we're never coming into contact with the kinds of people that we could be really, really happy with. I hope that you'll try at least a couple of these habits over the next month. Let me know in the comments which of these habits you think is going to help you the most. And by the way, if you implement everything in this video, you are going to be meeting a lot more potential partners for your love life. And when you do that, you're going to want to know how to tell the difference between the right people and the wrong people. This video right here tells you the one question you need to ask each time you meet someone new to see if they're right for you. Check it out now, and I will see you again next week for my new video. Hey guys, something a little more lighthearted this week. I know we've been going through a difficult time together, but I thought we'd have a bit of fun with something different. This is a live I did on TikTok where I gave out a bunch of different messages that you can send to someone that you're not with right now to create tension and flirt. Check them out. All right, one great text you can send is send the person that you're talking to a message that says, "You're so annoying." Now that's going to pique their interest. They're going to ask why. When they say why, you say, "Because you're one of the main people who's making staying at home so difficult right now." Okay? That's such a beautiful, sweet, playful message. And it's such a flirt. You know, what? You're so annoying. Why? Because you're one of the main people in my life making staying at home so difficult right now. If you see an outfit, let's say you're watching TikTok, you see a video where someone, like ladies, let's say you see a guy wearing an outfit in a TikTok video, and you think, oh, that's a really cool jacket, that's a really cool shirt. Take a picture of that or share that TikTok with him and say, this jacket, this shirt would look really hot on you. This one's a little, I'm gonna say, this one's for someone you're seeing, maybe not someone you just met, because it might come across as a little too forward or sexy, but this is a super sexy text to someone. You send them a message saying, "It's probably a good thing we can't see each other right now. I have a feeling you and I would be trouble." It's probably a good thing you and I can't see each other right now, because I have a feeling you and I would be trouble. When someone hears the word trouble, there's a sexiness, there's a fun to that, like trouble. What does that mean? Get someone thinking. Take a picture of the seat next to you. If you're sitting on the sofa watching a movie, take a picture of the part of the couch next to you and say, you're supposed to be sitting there right now. Like, I saved this seat for you. Where are you? Of course you're being playful. You know they can't show up, but it's designed to be playful and silly. If someone sends you a message out of the blue right now and says, thinking of you, which by the way, I would say this has to be one of the main messages flying around right now is miss you, thinking of you. And especially, I know that so many people get these messages from people that have not spoken to them in days or weeks. Suddenly out of nowhere, especially because people are lonely, they're sending each other those messages, thinking of you. Here's what I want you to send back. You don't have to send back thinking of you too, especially to someone who's just gone off the radar and has decided to ignore you for the last 3 weeks. Someone sends you a message that says thinking of you. I just want you to send back, well, duh. That message is you're still texting someone back, but you're sending something so confident and self-assured that that person now is going to be even more attracted to you. You could always be watching a scary movie and be like, I watched Contagion the other day. I don't know what I was thinking. That was a terrible idea. I watched the movie Contagion because I guess I wanted to, put myself in the mood for what's already a global pandemic. But I watched Contagion. That, if you watch a scary movie like that, you could say, I just watched Contagion, I need a cuddle. I just watched Contagion, I need a cuddle. Or hug, if you wouldn't use the word cuddle. I'm not sure if cuddle is more of an English thing to say. If someone compliments you, if someone sends you a complimentary message, you say back to them, my roommate or my family or whoever lives with me is going to be asking me why I'm blushing right now. Remember, just because we're going through a serious time, it doesn't mean we have to be heavy in our energy all the time. When we're trying to flirt with someone or keep a romance going, we don't want to be just talking about how difficult everything is. We also want to be flirting and being romantic and keeping the excitement. That's the whole point of these messages. It's so that there's a different note you can go to. If you want more like that, I have a guide. Some of you have this, some of you don't, but it's at 9texts.com. It's a free guide that gives you 9 more text messages you can use for all different situations with someone you want to create more attraction with. Go check it out. I will see you there. Well, we finished the virtual retreat just over a week ago, and you didn't come here to do a little bit of tinkering with your life. You came here to change your life, to change the conversation you're having with this life, with yourself, and with the people around you. And my God, it was a beautiful experience. During the virtual retreat, one of the advantages of doing it virtually is that we have a live chat. And every time I got a glimpse of what was going on in the live chat, it was exceptionally beautiful. And one of the common themes was this feeling of people having held themselves back until this point in their life and finally feeling free to go after what they want. In fact, there's a lot of people that said, I almost held myself back from doing the virtual retreat. I almost didn't do it, and now I'm so glad I did. This is a common theme in people's lives. This idea that you have this potential, this unrealized potential, and yet somehow we get in the way of that potential. We hold ourselves back. And one of the big reasons we hold ourselves back is because of the fear of how people will react, what other people will think if we step out and do something different to what we're doing now. So I wanted to give you some practical tools that I use to help me overcome those fears of what people think and keep moving forward anyway. The first one is I'm prepared to be wrong. I don't put a ton of stock in the ability to be right all the time. I like being right. I like when people say, man, you nailed that. But the bigger picture for me is the search for truth. And I'm willing to get things wrong in the search for truth. And I know that if I make a video where something goes wrong or people correct me or add a subtlety or a distinction to a point that I've made, that can make a future video better and craft. It's almost like those comments that people make, they chisel away at the point I'm making and offer me a better way of thinking about it so that the next time I say it to a new audience, I say it even better. Number 2, I remember that the race is long, that I can be judged today for something I say or do, but that over a lifetime, what's more important is how I'm judged on my character. And character is consistent. Character, to me, operates on a longer timeline. So anytime I'm worried about how someone's going to judge one move I make, I remind myself that the race is long. I am going to have many, many, many moments in my lifetime to show people who I really am, instead of worrying that everything that I am has to be well represented in this one snapshot. Number 3, I remember that intentions matter. If I put out a video, a lot of people will comment on what my intentions are for me. You know, some people will ascribe the worst intentions to what I do or what I'm saying. And the danger is in valuing their representation of your intention over what you know to be your true intention. When my head hits the pillow at night, what I want to know is, did I mean well? Did I try to do the right thing? Was I trying to do something good? And if I didn't communicate that well, then that's a communication issue. I just need to work on how I communicate those things. But what I don't do is allow other people to tell me what I meant by something or what my intentions are. If you know your intentions are good, return to that. Number 4, I remember the people that love me and know me and understand what I'm trying to do. My 2 brothers, Jameson, my mum, my dad. I think of the people that really get me and who know me for who I am, so that when someone says something nasty or judges me too harshly without really knowing me, I remember the opinions of the people that truly know me, and I return to that, because ultimately those are the opinions that matter. And that may not be your mum or your dad, by the way. You know, it might be that your mum or dad don't know you as well as your best friend does at this stage, or your partner. You know, and that might be some of the root of the conflict that you have with certain people in your lives, is that they're not as close to you as certain other people who you've chosen to make family. But the person who truly knows you and knows you at your core and how good your heart is, return to what those people think about you. Number 5, I focus on the bigger picture that I'm painting in my life. I think about all of our lives as a giant canvas that we're adding to every day with each brushstroke, that at the end of our lives is going to be the picture of who we were, what we stood for, what we created, what our life meant. And therefore, when someone judges your brushstroke, when they're looking at something you're doing in your day-to-day and judging it or commenting on it or criticizing it, remember, they can only see that brushstroke. And they don't have the picture of the whole painting. Maybe they're not zoomed out enough to see what I've already created. And they're certainly not aware of what's being created, of what that painting is going to look like at the end. So I don't allow someone's judgment of the brushstroke to deter me, because I understand that they don't have a perspective of the full picture that's being painted. Number 6, I always remember that my best has to be enough for me. I'm always going to fall short. I'm going to fall short of certain expectations that people have of me on any given day. I am going to fall short of sometimes the expectations I have of myself. And sometimes, by the way, that's true even in a relationship. You know, we get worried that, like, am I going to lose this person? Am I going to be enough for this person? We think about that in jobs too. Am I going to get fired? Am I going to do well enough for this job? Our best has to be enough for us, because that's all there is us waking up, giving our best that day, and resigning ourselves to the fact that that's what we were able to do that day. Tomorrow we'll wake up and we'll do the same thing again. But if that's not enough for somebody else or an organization or the world or an audience, that's okay. My best has to be enough for me. Your best has to be enough for you. Number 7, I remember that despite all of my better wisdom, the feeling of worrying about what other people think is something that's not my fault. There is an evolutionary programming to this, the ancient fear of being outcast from the tribe, that it may affect our survival in some way if the angry mob comes to our door, if people don't like us. This is not our original thought. It is millions of years old. We just get stuck with this thought that's not our own, that's part of our programming. That's not our fault, it's our burden. And what we have to allow ourselves to do is take a wiser stance than that primitive egoic stance that's perhaps always going to be with us in some form. And what I do to combat that is I don't try to eradicate the part of me that cares what other people think. I find a goal that's more important than the goal of making people like me. The desire to be liked is a low frequency goal. I have 3 other things that I have as higher frequency goals that are more important than the desire to be liked. One of them is to speak truth. And that's whether I'm being liked or not, I want to speak truth. The second is to make an impact in the world in my own modest way. And the third is to live a full life. And I know that I cannot achieve those 3 goals, speak truth, make an impact, live a full life, if I'm trying to constantly serve that lower frequency master, if I'm trying to serve the goal of being liked all the time, which, by the way, is an impossible goal to achieve. It cannot be achieved. But trying to achieve it will also cost you the higher frequency goal, because you can't do those things whilst you're trying to be liked all the time. You don't have to even think about it in terms of confidence. It's just rational to say the only achievable goal is the higher frequency goal, but I can't achieve that unless I let go of this egoic low frequency goal. That, by the way, for those of you that are wondering about the virtual retreat, is one of the primary aims of that retreat, is to get people in touch with what it is they actually want to do in their lives, what's important to them, what they stand for. I'm not talking about external material goals and achievements. I'm talking about what do they want to achieve in their life as a high frequency goal. Because once we get connected to that, it's then that it's not that we're able to eradicate all of these fears, it's that we just found something much more important. And that becomes our compass, our north for the way that we live our lives. If you missed the retreat in March, I have another one coming up in September, which will be the final virtual retreat of the year from the 24th to the 26th. I would encourage everybody who is thinking about this to come and get on board now for a couple of reasons. One, we just, for the next 30 days, released an early bird special on this program, meaning it's 25% off. It is the best price that we'll have between now and the program itself. In 30 days, the price goes up again. The second reason is so that you have a date in your diary that makes you feel like, you know what, no matter what else happens in my life this year, my growth is secured. That's how I feel. Every time I book myself onto a program or a mastermind with amazing people that I know are going to level me up, even if it's 6 months away, it gives me this sense of, I can breathe because I know that this part of my life is going to be handled. I've put something in the diary I can't avoid. It's happening. And by the way, the last reason is because when I have a date in the diary like that, it gives me a sense of urgency about doing things today because I want to have achieved things and made things happen and have grown by the time that date comes around. So just having that date, the 24th to the 26th of September in your diary will make you do more between now and then because you'll want to have momentum by the time you get there. I'll leave a link here. Get on board now. If you're even thinking about doing this year and you know you're going to sign up later, sign up now. I will see you in next week's video. Thank you as always for being here. I've always felt that when it came to success in life, there are two major things that we can control. One is how hard we work, and the other is how much of an impression we make on other people. I'll allow this video to assume that you're already working hard, but let's talk about the making an impression part. I want to talk about 7 things that we can all do to have more influence, better persuasion, more respect, and make more of a lasting impression on the people we speak to and have conversations with. Number 1, silence is a virtue. We should all master the art of not speaking when we don't have anything to say. So often, especially in business meetings, people speak for the sake of filling airtime. It's a vanity play. It's a discomfort with silence, with being seen to not be speaking. But we must resist that temptation and instead wait for a moment when we can actually say something that's going to make an impact. Number 2, fight the urge to interrupt. If the previous point was about not speaking when you don't have something to say, this one is about not interrupting when you do have something to say. We've all felt that moment where someone is saying something and we feel this unbelievably overwhelming urge to slice their sentence in half as we jump in to demonstrate our perspicacity. Look how insightful I am, look how interesting I am. But they don't care because they're too busy being resentful or frustrated that they didn't get to finish. You've essentially blue-balled their point. Do not confuse having something to say with this being the right moment to say it. Number 3, attack with humility. One of the greatest things you can say when you disagree with someone's opinions or their plan is, okay, I'm going to lay out my argument and you tell me why I'm wrong. This has such humility because you're first engineering the space for them to call you out afterwards. So now you're going to get their full attention because they know you've made space for them to disagree with you when you're finished. But there's also humility because it's almost assuming a kind of naivete. I'm going to tell you all of the things I think are wrong with what you said, and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. So, and this is particularly effective, by the way, if you're ever in conversation with people who are experts in an area that you're not. You could be in a company where you're having to hire website designers or coders or someone on a project that you don't understand the ins and outs of because they're the expert. Then you feel a bit insecure. How do I call someone out on something? How do I tell them that I think this project's going to take too long or is too expensive or I don't like the plan when they're the expert and I'm not? This sentence allows you to do that. I'm going to lay out my opinion and you tell me why I'm wrong. There's humility, but it also allows you to go on the full offensive on their proposal. Number 4, don't be a know-it-all. If someone asks you a question that you don't know the answer to in life, simply say, I'm not sure about that, or that's not my area, or I need to think about that. I want to go away and consider that and come back to you. When I'm on stage, the thing that gives me ultimate confidence is not that I know everything, it's that I'm prepared to not know everything. When someone asks me a question in front of 1,000 people and I don't know the answer, I am always willing to default to, I need to think about that and come back to you. Number 5, let your arguments wade in before you do. And when I say you, I mean you personally, with all of your biases, with all of your emotion. Sometimes when we disagree with something someone says, we immediately jump in and say, well, I think this. But the truth is, people may not necessarily want to know what you think. In a business context, some of our job is to add value to the room by putting forward interesting arguments or to put forward the other side, but not to put forward our own personal bias. So one of the things you can say when you disagree with something in the room or you think a point needs to be added, maybe you flat out disagree with something, that's fine. But you can always start with, I think there's a couple of things worth considering here. That line allows everyone to be open to what you're about to say because you haven't made anyone wrong. Like if I came to a business meeting with the creative team and I was like, I want to title a new video, People Who Like the Movie Love Actually Are Trash.
It's divisive.
It's right. Now you may think, we definitely shouldn't do that. Matt, you are a moron for even proposing a title like that. I'm not saying you're calling me a moron.
Well, you are, and I am.
Right. But let's say you wanted to know that I'm a moron, but not say that I'm a moron, but still get your point across. You could say, Matt, I think there's a couple of things worth considering about that. One being that it's possible it could offend some of our audience. Now, you could also add to that, we may, of course, decide that we don't mind if this particular video offends some of our audience and that it's worth doing anyway. But I did want to point out that that's possible and maybe even likely. Now, everyone's listening. The people that think we should make that video and call it that, and the people that think we shouldn't, because the argument was made in a way that doesn't invest all of Harry's personal feelings into it. As a follow-on from that point, number 6 is argue with the argument, not with the person. When someone says something we don't like, instead of saying, you're wrong, we can say, here's my issue with that. Now, when we say, here's my issue with that, we're allowing it to be that, not them. And there's a huge difference. I have been in so many debates with people over subjects that are very dear to them, where ordinarily they may be inflamed, hurt, offended by something someone like me would say in that moment, but they're not, because I make it about the argument, not about the person. Here's my issue with that conclusion. Here's my issue with that point of view. I'm allowing them to have some distance from their arguments, even if ordinarily they would see them as the same thing. This is something that's become increasingly rare in our world, of course, with ad hominem attacks having become the norm. When people are going after someone's argument, they attack the person directly, and that's why very little progress is made, of course, because there's no space for people to then be distanced from their arguments. In order to agree with you, I have to dismantle my own ego. And if your arguments, if the way that you speak to people right now requires people to dismantle their own ego in order to agree with you, people are not going to agree with you very much. But if you make their argument your opponent and make them, the person, your ally, you will gain many friends and win many arguments. And lastly, number 7, don't oversell your point. We've all had that moment where we've made an interesting point to somebody or said something particularly insightful, and we feel that click. We feel that moment where they nod and we realize, yes, I am the most intelligent person in the room. They do think I'm wonderful. I can see it in their eyes. They may even confirm this by saying, that's a really good point. And when they say that, we feel this giddy high that makes us now want to continue making the point that we've already made. I was once watching a TV show, I can't remember who even said this, but there was a guy who said, I just want to reiterate. And the other guy said, oh, you don't need to reiterate it, you've already said it. And we often feel the need to reiterate things that we have said over and over again. I've done this so much in my life. I cringe when I watch myself do it, and I have the problem of seeing myself do it on video in real interviews. When you catch yourself, stop and say, I've already made the point. They're already appreciating it. Let me now allow that point to detonate in their mind and do the work for me. If they want to ask me another question about it, they can. Look, when we're talking about these things, we're talking about effectiveness, impact, persuasion, the ability to stand out, the ability to have a distinct, unique, and powerful voice to make an impression on people wherever we go. I have truly found these tools to be some of the most useful in my life. And I started them at age 11 when I was reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, but I've never stopped learning. It keeps getting more advanced. Every new person I speak to, I hang around with some really amazing, successful people who continue to teach me, and I think, oh my God, I'm just getting started. It never ends. And anytime someone says to me things like, oh, I know all of that stuff, I think you must be playing a different game to me. I don't know what your understanding of this area is, but for me, the learning never stops in this area. I'm always focused on how to be more effective as a person because it affects everything from my business to my relationships to the new opportunities that I bring in, all of it. If this is an area that you find yourself as interested in as I am, and I mean as I am privately because it's not something I talk about every week in my videos, but it's something that I am personally massively invested in. I have something I know you're really going to love. What I'm about to show you as a free training, this is going to be my gift to you today, is from an event that I got invited to that was a closed door event for a group of powerful influencers and entrepreneurs who were all looking to improve their impact out there, build their audiences, build their brand, become more known. And I sat with them and I gave them some of my secrets that I've learned over the years. I've pulled 18 minutes of this into a video training that you get to watch right now for free. And you know, when I say something is free, it actually has value. Like this free video you're watching right now, it has massive value. So if you want more of that, come with me and watch this. If you're someone who just wants more impact in your own personal life, if you're a business leader, a CEO, or if you're someone who has interest in building a personal brand, this video is an incredibly valuable thing for you to watch. And ignore the production value. It's not great, but that's because it was never intended to be shown to the public. You really are getting a peek into something that was only reserved for a handful of people. I'll leave a link here. Check it out, and I'll see you in the free training. Oh, the only favor I ask is that when you get there, you leave me a comment. I want to see your reaction. Thanks, guys.